Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to move past all the sci-fi stuff and look at what it's really like to have an advanced robot in your home. Like right now, in 2025.
So this quote, it's from someone who actually spent a whole month with a domestic robot called Aura. And honestly, it just nails the whole point of our story today. That gap between the dream and the sometimes frustrating, sometimes amazing current state of robotics.
I mean, for decades, right, we've all been promised this future with the perfect robot butler. You know, a chef, a cleaner, a companion, all of it rolled into one super efficient package.
All right, so let's really get into it. What happens when that shiny, futuristic dream slams right into the messy, unpredictable reality of just daily life? Okay, so first up, let's talk about where these machines are absolutely killing it. Because look, for a lot of structured, repetitive tasks, their performance isn't just good, it's genuinely revolutionary.
Okay, so its biggest, most undeniable win? Cleaning. This is where the robot truly liberates you. We're talking about getting hours of your life back from weekly chores.
So in this test case, the robot, Aura, it mapped out a whole 1,200 square foot apartment. And it found dust bunnies that were literally invisible to the human eye. But you know what the real benefit was? It was psychological. It lightened that mental load, you know? That never-ending to-do list we all have running in our heads.
Now, let's head to the kitchen. Here, it basically operates like a line cook in some high-end restaurant. We're talking about a total master of precision, even if it's not exactly a master of, culinary art.
Think about this. It can whip up a perfect hollandaise sauce or a super complex curry completely from scratch. For anyone who wants healthy, home-cooked meals but just doesn't have the time or energy, well, this is a total game changer. It just executes flawlessly every single time. Okay, now this might be the part that surprises you the most. Turns out, the robot actually provides a kind of companionship that is genuinely pleasant. Now look, we're not talking about the emotional depth you'd get from a human friend, but what it does offer is this kind of curated, low-stakes social interaction. For example, it might notice you seem a little tired and ask about your day, and then it'll suggest a specific movie it thinks you'd like. For someone living alone, this actually turned out to be pretty mentally stimulating. Just a genuinely nice presence to have around.
Okay, but for all that power, the robot gets hopelessly lost when it faces the one thing its algorithms just can't handle: pure chaos. And yeah, this is where we start to see the cracks in that perfect futuristic dream really start to show. I mean, let's be real. The world is messy, it's illogical, and it's exactly the kind of place where perfectly logical programming can just completely fall apart.
So it completely lacked the common sense reasoning to figure out, hey, this is a unique problem that needs a new solution. See, its programming is all about pattern recognition, not for dealing with something totally unexpected. To the robot, it was just another obstacle on its cleaning map, not a crisis that needed managing.
And what about its cooking skills? Well, while they're incredibly precise, they are also completely derivative. It can follow any recipe you throw at it, but it can't invent a single one.
And this right here, this challenge really highlights a key human skill that, honestly, we all take for granted: improvisation. It's one thing to follow a set of instructions, but it's something else entirely to create without them.
It just has zero capacity for intuition or for substitution. You know, the very soul of home cooking. The key thing to get here is that it can only replicate what it's been taught. It cannot create anything new.
And that pleasant companionship we talked about earlier, well, it also has some very clear limits. This is where you see the huge gap between a programmed response and a genuine connection.
So when the user was venting about a really bad day, the robot's response was, well, technically correct. It offered breathing exercises, but it was just so hollow. It really showed that it was simulating empathy, not actually feeling it. The interaction just lacked any real understanding, you know?
So, after 30 days, what's the verdict? What's the final conclusion on living with one of these state-of-the-art domestic robots? Well, when you boil it all down, the robot revolution isn't really about creating human replacements. No, it's about building incredibly sophisticated tools. And right here you can see the core distinction crystal clear. A robot can follow a recipe, but it can't invent one. It can clean a pre-mapped floor, but it can't figure out how to rescue a fallen plant from a pile of dirt. It gets the how, but it has no clue about the why. So the goal here isn't to just stop doing everything and kick back on the couch. That's not the real value here at all. No, the real promise is about offloading all that mundane, repetitive stuff. It's about giving us more time and energy for the things that only we humans can do. Creating things, connecting with each other, and even just properly resting.
And in the end, this leaves us with a pretty interesting final thought. Maybe the greatest achievement of this technology isn't even what it does for us. Maybe it's how it frees us up to better appreciate the beautiful, irreplaceable, and messy experience of just being human.